So this is clip number 3, thinking about Luke chapter 10 and the return of the 72 from their ministry, the way they're rejoicing. And Jesus is telling them not to rejoice too much in the success they've had, but rather to rejoice that their names are written in heaven. So the first clip was basically saying there's a perspective corrective there for us as preachers. In the second clip, I tried to say that I think the other thing that's very clear in that passage is there's a warning against success in the world's eyes and against pride. And thirdly, I just want to say, I think the corollary of that, we don't see this in the account itself, but the corollary of everything we're saying so far is that if we shouldn't rejoice over much in the ministries that God has called us to and in the power that God does give by his Holy Spirit, if we shouldn't rejoice over much in that, the flip side is we shouldn't be overly dejected when our preaching ministry doesn't go well. Now, I'm hoping that for you guys, the experience is similar to mine, that I do occasionally have times where I'm tempted to success and pride because the preacher's gone really well. I've had really warm feedback. Someone's life has been changed. But my more regular experience is that I go home on a Sunday afternoon and I'm quite dejected because I'm aware of how badly I've preached. So the corollary of everything we're saying is, if you shouldn't rejoice over much in a successful preaching ministry, you shouldn't be overly dejected when you haven't preached well. We should seek to be faithful and prepare prayerfully and do the best that we can in the Lord's strength, but the results are down to him. There are examples littered through church history, aren't there, of people not preaching well, or certainly not preaching in a sophisticated and powerful way, but lives being changed. The life of Spurgeon is an example of that. We know the story, I think, that he entered a church one snowy evening. There was a church officer preaching, and the sermon was not, in the world's terms, particularly powerful or particularly eloquent. It was actually quite repetitive, and God used that to change Spurgeon's heart. God doesn't need us to be amazing preachers to do his kingdom work. So don't get overly dejected when you haven't preached well. I think we need to think about that a bit at IPN. We must seek to be prayerful and faithful and be the best preachers we can be, but we must also learn to rest in God and know that the power comes from him. That kingdom power in Luke chapter 10 came from Jesus, not from the 72, and the same applies to us. Hope that will make sense. Really looking forward to unpacking this more with those who can come along at the end of the month, God willing. See you there, I hope.